Manager at NGNG Enterprises. And I am joined today with Barry Magliarditi. Did I say that right, Barry?
Close enough, yeah. I think you nailed it.
Barry is the CEO and founder of the Game Changers and now a #1 selling author for his book called The Path to Freedom. I actually have my copy here. I just got it yesterday. I'm so excited. I love the cover.
Amazing.
So welcome, Barry. It is late night for you. What time is it where you're at?
11 p.m.
Oh my gosh. All right. Burning the midnight oil. But I get the feeling you do that a lot.
Just with you guys in the States, it's not bad. We've got a few things happening in America, so there's been more calls than normal over that way.
Barry's book is available on Amazon now. And my team member, Megan, is in the comments. So she will be sharing the link for you just below. And if you do have any questions or comments you'd like to ask Barry or myself today, please leave them in the comments. Megan will be sharing them with me throughout our event today. So I'm really excited to get started. One last thing too, if you could please start a watch party for those who are watching. This will help get our message out there to all those who need to hear it. So Barry, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and tell us more about what you do and about the Game Changers?
Yeah. I think my entrepreneur journey started very early on, but probably more so 18 years ago when I started my first company, which is a kitchen and bathroom manufacturing business. I never sort of thought I'd be an entrepreneur, business owner, but I had a boss that didn't treat me very well. And one day I felt I needed to leave, having no idea what I was doing, where I was going. I had a mortgage at the time. I was good at making money back then, but better at spending it. And about 3 weeks after kind of leaving, I said to my mum that I was worried that I wasn't worried about what to do next. And she's like, I'm sure you'll work it out. And it was the next day that I posted an ad in the local newspaper, like local handyman, no job too big or small. And that was the start of my first multi-million-dollar failure. You know, I grew a company very, very fast, had a bunch of staff, but it wasn't a business. It was a job. You know, I was enslaved in this business. I couldn't even go to lunch without my phone ringing, like honestly 20 or 30 times between clients and staff, wanting and needing things. I didn't understand systems. I didn't understand team and culture. I didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but I was great at doing the do. Like I was great at delivering the service, which is why we grew so fast. But also, I guess what propelled me to be where I'm at now, helping hundreds and thousands of business owners around the world to build profitable and purpose-driven businesses that can work without the business owner.
Well, I can tell you that throughout this book launch process, so Barry did work with Amber and myself to launch the Path to Freedom. And we had the pleasure of working with your team. And I could probably say we probably could have launched this book without you. Your team is amazing. Trisha, Rafi, Angel, Stilla, oh my gosh. I mean, everybody just, you can tell that they really love working for you, but they always delivered in a timely manner. They were professional, efficient, and it was such a pleasure working with your team. So you really do practice what you preach because your team definitely did a lot of the work for you and really supported you. And it was so much fun getting the opportunity to work with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you give us a little bit of inspiration behind writing the book, The Path to Freedom?
Yeah, it was funny. I was having a conversation with an ex-partner of mine, January of 2019, and I said, I'm really feeling incongruent with the message, which was helping our clients to build businesses to work without them. I was like, how can we truly stand by what we teach when I'm still working in this business? And it was quite a contradiction for me because I absolutely loved doing what I was doing, but I was like, at the moment, like this business still needs me to be involved in some aspects. And so I made the decision that I was going to spend last year to exit the business. I could have done it a lot quicker, but I was like, I'm going to give myself 12 months because I just want to exit. Like I want to exit and grow this thing at the same time. And so over last year, I built the business up, hired integrator, and then December, exited it operationally. And in January, moved to Bali, kind of having no idea what I was going to do. Now, during this time, I didn't know that I was actually going to separate from my partner at that point in time as well. So here I was in January with these grand plans to travel for 12 months, but it all changed due to the separation. So I'm like, I don't have to work. I've got money coming in, and I have no freaking idea what I'm doing in my life anymore. Like it was a huge, I don't know, like I guess an eye-opening experience, but also too very challenging because we'd helped so many people exit before. And I knew there's this big identity shift that we have to go through, because when you identify with your business a certain way for so long, it's like it's part of you. It's like a baby. It's like the first, any parents out there, the first time you drop your child off to school or childcare, you know, there's a really weird feeling around that. And your business is as close to you, I believe, as that relationship you have with your children, because you've birthed this thing and grown it from day dot. And so I decided to go to Bali for a few months just to do some yoga and some diving. And then while I was over there, I was like, I think it's time for me to kind of solidify the last 18 years of business successes and failures, and the last 9 years of helping clients into a methodology that anyone can apply simply to get the results that we've been getting time and time again.
Can you maybe talk us through maybe one of your failures and the lessons learned from that?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Like the one I speak about in the book first up is obviously the bankruptcy 9 years ago of my kitchen and bathroom manufacturing business. You know, like I had a job, had a couple of beautiful boys, and a partner at the time that left me because she just couldn't stand to be a single parent anymore. Like I was never at home. I wasn't present when I was home. I was thinking about this business or a job, so to speak. And she left me, moved to the other side of the country because she needed support for the kids, because I wasn't there for her. And the interesting thing is that we both had the same argument. We just weren't communicating and seeing that. You know, she felt that she was doing it all alone, and it was all on her. And I felt I was doing it alone. It was all on me. We both thought we were moving towards the same direction, but communicating different languages. And you know, it was about a week or so after she left, I was like, what am I doing? Like the whole reason I got into business in the first place was to earn more money and have more time, so that when I eventually had a family, I could be there for them. And not only have I not achieved that, like I've done the opposite. You know, I've done the opposite of what I set out to achieve. And this is common for a lot of business owners. They go into business, or they fall into business. They have these great desires and aspirations, and then years down the track, they're earning less money and working more hours than working for an employer.
Oh man, wow. Thank you for being so open and honest and sharing that with us. And yeah, I definitely think a lot of business owners can really relate to that. It feels a lot, you know, it's early mornings and late nights sometimes. And yeah, it's definitely can affect the family dynamic for sure. And especially now, you know, with COVID going on, everybody's world has just been rocked upside down, and everything is changing, and everybody's trying to adjust and pivot. Um, so, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's interesting times. I logged on to Facebook the other day, which is not something I normally do, and I noticed there's a post in there from a member, Aaron Thompson, and he recorded a video, and you could tell he was nervous as all hell recording this video. And he's like, you know, I really feel that I want to share. He's like, I've been with the Game Changers for 5 months. I joined them just pre-COVID. And he's like, it's changed my life. He's like, we just won the biggest job. He said, I'm a carpenter. You know, I'm based in Sydney, Australia. We've just moved to a new office. I've just won the biggest contract of my entire business. He's like, I can't believe how much clarity I've got from this process. It's not only that. He's like, during COVID, we grew, and it wasn't easy, but we grew because we had the support of the Game Changers coaches, and we had the support of the Game Changers community. And I welled up watching this video, because I'm like, this is exactly why we exist. This is exactly why I'm in business, because, you know, I don't want people to go through what I went through, you know, 19 years ago, because it's hard. And like the failure rate of business is huge. Yet I believe now more than ever, business owners are what's going to see the economy grow and the economy get through the recession that we're in.
It's interesting. I think a lot of people are making a shift and reevaluating what they've been doing in their career. And I think they're getting ready, you know, now's the time to make a move. We've had a lot more time, I think, to really sort of think through things. And again, with just all the changes that are happening, they're just completely out of our control, right? There's nothing we can really do about this. We just have to buck up, you know, strap on our boots and just keep moving forward. So in reading your book, I feel like there's a lot of benefits that leaders and managers can take from it. And I know you've had a lot of conversations, talking about business owners, but can you give us some more insight as far as some of the different tools and strategies that a leader manager like myself, managing the book division for Amber Vilhauer, how we might be able to apply that in our department or with our team?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that you raise, and something that I've shared a lot during the book launch is that it's important not just for the business owner to read the book, but to actually get a copy for their team as well. Now, this is not some fancy sales ploy wrapped in a nice wrapper to sell more books. It's genuine, because the biggest thing that we notice time and time again with our clients is when they go back to their employees and they're like, hey, we're going to systemize, we're going to put these things in place. They're always met with resistance. And they're met with resistance because us typical A-type entrepreneurs, we have all these great ideas all the time, right? And every time we have a great idea, what do? We go back to our team and we're like, hey, we've got this great idea. Let's put this into place. And they're like, all right, not another one, but hey, we'll do this anyway, Barry. And then halfway through, it's like, Barry's got another great idea, and nothing ever gets done. And this is why a lot of businesses just spin their wheels. And so, going through the process in the book and taking it back to your team, they're going to be met with the same resistance. Whereas if you bring your team around the common core principles in there, it's like the first 3 chapters around vision, mission, and values, aligning a team around something outside of wealth, but around something where we can all share things together. We look at, as human beings, we have 2 main functions that our critter neurology is doing at any point in time. One is keeping us safe, and 2 is trying to reproduce, right? Old technology. But the whole keeping us safe is at the core of who we are as human beings. And a way that we kept safe is through a sense of belonging. That's not money. Money is not transpired in this part of the brain to keep us safe, right? Sure, we could buy guns or we could buy shelter and so forth, but belonging is what drives that part of us to have it. So when we can create a strong vision, mission, values in an organization, whether you're a manager, whether you're a leader, doesn't matter. Like, the reason you had such a great experience with my team is because every single one of them is bought into the vision, mission, values. It's their company. It's not my company. It's our company together as a team. And so therefore, that's why they wake up inspired every day, not because of their paycheck, but because every day they get a chance to move towards achieving a greater vision. It doesn't matter whether you're a plumber or a carpenter or you're in a marketing company, you have the ability to inspire your staff to create something greater than just fixing a tap or painting a wall, right? And it comes down to having those core principles of vision, mission, values in place.
Does the team help you develop the vision, mission, and values, and how often do you talk about them? Because for you, your team is virtual. I think you've been in the virtual environment for quite some time now. So working virtually, how do you continue to communicate those vision, missions, and values with the team so that we don't forget? So it is somewhat always top of mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess a couple of things. The whole, are they involved or not? Like, it's a little bit hard to give a general answer because every business is at a slightly different space. Like, if you're a sole trader, it's like, it doesn't apply to me. I'd say bullshit. Like, if you plan on growing your business past being a sole trader, put the vision, mission, values in place now, because it's not just some pie in the sky thing. Like, it's a decision-making tool. Like, we hire on our vision, mission, values. We fire on our vision, mission, values. We reward on our vision, mission, and values. We make decisions on our vision, mission, values. This is why my team, even though our company is completely systemized and process driven, each and every team member is empowered to make their own decisions, and they'll always be backed. Even if they fail, they will still have the support of us if they've made decisions based on our vision, mission, and values.
Okay.
Right. So it's hard to kind of give a blanket approach, because it does depend. If you're a larger company, your senior leadership team should absolutely be involved in creating that. If you're a smaller company, it's you. In terms of like how often, like in everything, like every single team meeting that we have, like every Friday, our team get a scheduled email to vote on a team member that lived accordance to one value. They pick a team member, they pick a value, and they write how that team member displayed that value. Like, we wrap vision, mission, values into every single thing that we do. All our process documents has a purpose. Why? Like, when we hire, when we offboard, when we have performance conversations, everything is wrapped in that vision, mission, values consistently, because that's the only way we can actually step out as a business owner. Like, I can step out, and whether I'm in the organization or out of the organization, it still operates the same, because it operates the same based on the pillars of vision, mission, values. Whereas if we didn't have that and I step out, it's like all of a sudden everyone just does whatever they want to do, because there's no commonality in the language and the structure and the way we do things.
Okay. Wow. I want to talk a little bit too about hiring an A team, and I think that's even how you position it in the book. Again, every every one of your staff members was just so great to work with. Can you give us some insight? Because a lot of times it is up to leader managers to, go out and find additional people to come into the business, right? What are some things to look for when trying to hire or bring or onboard an A team?
Yeah. It's funny. I jumped into, I still attend our weekly team meetings, and mainly just because I love it so much. Like, we are a virtual team, but it's the closest relationship I've ever had in team members anywhere before. And I jumped on, and we had two new hires there that I had nothing to do with. We had a new client care person, new appointments that I had nothing to do with the process, and they were radiating TGC values. So there's two parts to your question, Patty. First is, we've over time developed a really kick-ass interview process, a hiring process, which I give it away in the book. Like, it's in the book, how we go about hiring. That's first and foremost. And it's nothing more than a process we put in place, and we would hire and we would refine it, we would hire and we would refine it. And it's been years to get it to where it is, to where now it just works every single time. But the most important part, again, is to hire people based on values. So part of the interview process is like, Patty, tell me, what do you value in life? And hey, here's the values of the game changers. How do you feel that your personal values align with the game changers' values? If you can't see that, if you can't make a connection, an alignment between your personal values and the business values, there's never going to be alignment moving towards a common goal. And that's not something that we should have to do. That's something that you should be able to bring to the table. And if you can bring that to the table, we'll train you. Like, training somebody to do their role is very, very easy, but it's almost impossible to train someone to be a certain way in accordance with certain values, because that's something we grow up with.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's such great insight too. Really looking at, this person may be, excel in one area, but true, if their personal values really don't align with yours, I could see how there could definitely be some sort of clash there, right? Like, man, they look so good on paper. And if you're not asking the right questions and really getting to know what their, true beliefs are and what they really value, there's a good opportunity. There's a good chance there it's probably not going to work out for you. Really interesting. I love
Like,
that.
if you know your company values to a T, you can ask questions and you can hear in the language whether there's alignment there or not. Like, our values around the acronym of HEART, H, have fun, E, everyone contributes, A, being always at cause, R, realize your potential, and T, together we grow. So I can ask you questions and I can be like, oh, that's like, what do you do for hobbies? Oh, not much. Where's the fun element in that? Right. So I can ask questions that listening to it will tell me whether there's alignment to the values, because I know what our values are and I embody our values. Right. So once you know them as a business and you really do live and breathe them, it's very easy to start to understand whether there's a fit and whether they filter through or they don't filter through.
Can we talk a little bit about the Scrum board and the feedback loop? So I've actually been through Scrum management training.
Really?
And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. I've never really thought about applying it to, to the department itself, right? I think sometimes I'm always thinking big picture, thinking about the company as a whole. And obviously there's lots of projects happening at one time, but yeah, I'd like to be able to get some more insight into that and applying that into, different divisions or departments within the business.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I'm like a little bit autistic or something. And so, like, I love colors, I love sticky notes, I love things like that. And the last few years I've done a lot of traveling. And for me, I don't enjoy sitting in front of a computer. So we use Asana, and we've written about that in the book as well. And I ask and require my team to use Asana as well. But for me personally, being the visionary, and a lot of visionaries share the same insights as well, us logging onto a computer and moving things around a spreadsheet doesn't necessarily work for us. We're more creative. We're more, want to touch and taste and feel things. So because I spent so long in hotel rooms, I'd often take a bunch of different colored sticky notes and a whiteboard marker, and I'd be on the mirror in the bathroom or on the windows, and I'd roll up a basic Scrum board, which is like a hopper, which is where all your tasks sit down to do, doing, and done. So doing are the ones I'm doing this week. To do are the ones that are in line to be done next, and hopper are all the ones there in between. So what would happen is every week I would work on my my doing tasks and move them across, pull 3 across from to do, and pull more across from the hopper. And it was a very, very effective way for me to get that kind of dopamine hit that I was taking progress and moving towards my goals, because I knew if I could break down these bigger projects or bigger goals that I had onto sticky notes, which we talk about, like each sticky note represents 45 minutes.
Okay.
Right? And the reason being is in an hour block of time, we can only focus effectively for 45 minutes. There's a lot of studies on this. So it gives you 45 minutes to study, to focus, 10 minutes to kind of screw around, to get some water, go for a walk, refresh, relax, 5 minutes to kind of reset, and then you go again. And so when you do that, you can see all these sticky notes. You're like, okay, there's 13 hours of time I need to allocate to do that project. The rest is super, super simple.
Something I do want to talk about real quick, and Megan will post the link to the book bonuses in the comments. So Barry did offer some very generous bonuses when you purchase the book. Can you tell us a little bit more about what those bonuses are and how they complement the book?
All right, I'll have to remember them first. But yeah.
Oh,
So there's a 60-minute training called the outcome frame. So often I find a challenge with many entrepreneurs is when you ask them, they actually don't really know what they want. They think that they want these materialistic things, but often the things that they think that they want are not their own goals. And when you really question them and challenge them, it's like, well, I don't really know why I'm doing this. And that's often what keeps them stuck, is not really knowing what they want and why they want to achieve that. So there's a 16-minute training that works very, very well on getting to the core of what we really want and why we want it. And I've seen that training alone help people to really accelerate the movement and momentum towards achieving what they want. There's another training called the Psychology of the Heart with a psychologist, a good friend of mine, and the director of the Heart-based Institute in the States, where we kind of dive into deeply this dynamic that we have as human beings between like intuition and intellect. And there's a lot of studies that have done on CEOs where they say that, like, I think it's like 88% of CEOs make decisions like intuitively and then back it up logically. And I think that that's a superpower that we have as CEOs if we tap into it. And that training helps you tap more into that. What are the other 2 bonuses there?
They're coming up here.
One is we do have each chapter comes with its own implementation sheet. So we've created an SOP or a system of how to implement each chapter in the book. So after you read it, you can sit there with your team and there's a step-by-step guide of how you go about implementing that chapter. So you just read it and be like, oh, that's great information. It's like you read it and then you have a playbook of how to actually go about implementing it as well.
And let's see, I've got it here. I'm going to share these bonuses here.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we've got the free PDF download, the 8 core business process flowchart. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so every business has between 4 to 9 core processes, and a process flowchart is essentially a mind map of how you go from point A to point B. So an example might be you have a sales flowchart. How do you take a prospect to onboarding them as a client? Now, each step of that flowchart becomes like an SOP or a how-to, but we actually give you 8 core processes. So we give you a marketing process, a sales process, people process, a couple of financial processes, the process of how you implement systems in your business, or actually how you get your staff to implement and systemize your business, as well as we also give you guys the hiring process and template that we use, including the questions we ask in interviews, the post emails, the pre-emails, the whole entire thing that's taken us honestly years to pull together.
I want to take a quick break because we do have a question. A question coming in is from Rafi, and it says, when it comes with working with a remote team, despite some hits and misses, what signs does he look out for that show? I'm sorry, let me read this one more time. When it comes to working with a remote team, despite some hits and misses, what signs does he look out for that show him he's on the right path?
Yeah. I guess a few things, like, again, language. Like when I hear my staff talking, if they are saying like us or we or our company, that lets me know that they're taking ownership of what we're doing. right? They talk about this a lot in the book, Tribal Leadership. So the difference between like level one leadership, level two, three, four, five, six, like what I'm always looking for. And especially, I remember when I first started implementing this kind of methodology 3 years ago, like everyone was always talking about like, I'm great or you're great. And there's a lot of separation in that. Whereas now, if you come into a meeting, the team are like, we're great. Like, we're great. Like, look at the amazing work we've done. Now, they might have not necessarily had anything to do with touching that particular part of the project, but there's still a sense of ownership of us as a company of the results we're achieving, right? Which is, again, has brought back more fun into the organization. So a lot of it, Patty, really is noticing the language, noticing how they're showing up. Are they showing up and being in line with the values? And again, this is why us as visionaries need to be out of operations, so we can actually have the time to be centrally aware of the conversations that are happening and notice these subtleties. Like, do your staff come to you with vulnerabilities? Are they open to share what's really going on? Do they actually bring issues? Is there conflict in the organization? Conflict is good. A lot of organizations avoid conflict, but if you look at the 5 dysfunctions of a team, dysfunction number 1 is trust. Not that I can't tell you a secret, but do I give a shit enough about the vision that I'm willing to go head to head because I don't agree with what you're saying, right? And know that we can walk away better for it because we're both on the same page with wanting to get the end goal. We just have different ways of doing it. Yet a lot of people try to avoid conflict because it's bad. It's good. It means people give a shit enough to share what's really going on, and it should be promoted and welcomed from a healthy place.
Oh man, you talk a little bit about trust there. And one thing that I appreciate so much about our leader at NGNG, Amber Vilhauer, she really is so trusting. And, sometimes I feel like, wow, I mean, she really, it's a long rope she gives us. And she is so great about, here's the assignment, go do it, come back, we'll check in when it's done. In no way is she a micromanager, but is that challenging a lot of times for business owners to get over wanting to hold on to every single piece of the business, right? Because it's going to be difficult to get on that path to freedom if you're going to tie yourself to every little project step by step. For business owners who find themselves doing that, or even managers find themselves doing that, what is a good way of letting go and really having trust?
Um, yeah, it's a great question, and
Loaded question.
the way that I'll share it is this: the trust needs to not be on the other person or even on themselves, but the trust that they'll get to where they need to go. Right. So if the trust is like in the moment, it's going to be a very rocky road because we have a lot of biases in place that are going to start to skew us from a psychological perspective. Whereas if we trust that, well, the journey that I want is I want to get to the path of freedom. Like, I want to get to a position where my business operates without me. In order to do that, I need to not be the one doing it. So therefore, I'm going to trust. The only way to get there is to let go. Now, does it mean that things will go perfectly? God, no. Like, we launched the book on Monday. Amazon Australia went out of stock.
Yeah.
Now, I've been totally chill with it all week. I'm like, the team's got it. It will fix itself when it fixes itself. I don't need to get stressed out or overwhelmed. 2 years ago, I would have been flipping it. We spent 2 months building like engagement around launching the book to have the thing sell out in like 6 hours on day one. Completely screwed rankings in Australia, right? But what can you do? So the reality is like, realize that if you're going to do it yourself, it's just going to be you. Like, people are going to make mistakes, but mistakes are great because it shows you where the gaps are. Is the gap in their training and knowledge? Is the gaps in the system processes? And then it's like, let's fix it. This comes back to the feedback question you mentioned before. It's like, the result that we get is a successful result for the strategy we run, right? If you're watching this right now and you've got no money, right? The no money is a successful result for the strategy running around wealth creation, right? The result's not the issue. The issue is a strategy running. So take the feedback, change the strategy, and then calibrate again with the result. All right, cool. I've now got $1 in my bag. Okay, something's working. How can I make that into $3, into $5, into $10? Give your staff member an assignment, give them description, check back in. Don't get emotional. What worked? What didn't work? Now let's make a change and see if it works better next time round.
So you talk a lot about systems, and I'm wondering too, does systems really help with part of the process as well? And again, how can we, the business as a whole may have systems, but something that I was thinking about reading through the chapter was, oh gosh, I think I can take some of this and really start to systemize my department, even going above and beyond what the company is already doing. And by the way, like, again, Amber is like the systemization queen. She blows my mind. And, but yeah, what else can you tell us about systems or how department heads might be able to systematize their division a bit more?
Yeah, we probably do things a little bit differently. And that is that I believe as a CEO or as a visionary, there's only one system you should create. And that's the system for writing systems. You create the master system, which teaches people how to write a system in a generic way, how to label it, how to store it, how to revise it, how to refer to it, and so forth. Once you've written that, then it's up to your team to systemize their role. And so essentially, if we're working together, Patty, you come to me and say, hey, Barry, I need you to teach me how to do X, Y, Z. It's like, cool, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to teach you. We're going to record it on Loom, on video sharing, on audio, whatever the case may be. And then after we do this, you're going to go and create the system for it and then share it back with me and let me have a look at it. Because as business owners, we often will either overcomplicate something or miss a bunch of things out because we've been doing it for so often. So if we create the master system, it's then up to my staff or my team to create the systems for themselves. And once they start to realize how easy it is to have systems in place, how much time it spends, it's like they adopt the process as well. But more importantly, when there is a mistake, the first question is, was the system followed? Now, if the system was followed, cool, where's the gap in the system? There's no one's at fault, right? It removes the responsibility, removes the finger pointing, because it's like, okay, the system was followed, there's a gap. Let's just go and fix the gap, run it again. And if there's no issues, like, we're sweet. And you just keep reiterating the process until you get a successful result, like our hiring process. It's been like 9 years to the point, but now it's like we hire A-grade staff every single time we run the system.
Well, as we wrap up today, I did have a question for you. Since we are talking about the path to freedom, so, on your book cover here, you're in front of, some exotic beach here. What beach is this, by the way?
Batu Belong in Bali.
Oh, man. There's the sun setting in the background. The camera may not pick it up, but, and not going to lie, but as I'm reading it, I find myself reading it and I'm hearing your accent as I'm going through the pages. So it's kind of nice. I feel like, oh, it's very calming and kind of enjoyable, but I kind of laugh because I'm like, I'm reading in an accent. So how many days a week are you out surfing these days?
I surfed today.
Okay.
I surfed yesterday and I'm surfing tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh, almost every day.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty crazy, like the last 2 months have been pretty crazy, the book launch, and it's the most that I've worked all year, to be completely honest with you. But now it's like, I'm aware I need to restore the balance again. Like I went pretty hard. I had a project, I had a focus. Now it's kind of bring the balance back in. So tomorrow I'll go surfing. I'm going to go and see my kids. They're running cross country. So I'll go and hang out at school and watch them run cross country, take them out for dinner. And that will kind of be my day tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. It's 9:30 in the morning here in Colorado, and I think I need a little bit more coffee here. Oh, look at my camera's still waking up. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today, and make it